Salesforce, there are multiple different button types you can configure. You can make buttons that appear on list views here and also related list views. You can also make buttons that appear on record pages. So in this example, I'm going to show you how to create a button that appears on a Salesforce record page. To do that, you need to open Setup by clicking on the gear icon and then going either into Setup and then into Object Manager and opening the object that you'd like to add a button to. But if you're already on the object that you want, in this case, I do want to add a button to the opportunity, you can just go Edit Object. Once the Object Manager loads, we're going to look for the buttons link in the left-hand side menu. So we're now in the Opportunity Object Manager. We're going to go Buttons, Links, and Actions. Now, it can be confusing. You can also create new actions which are triggered by a button, but they're not classified as a button per se. So in this case, we want to create a new button. Typically, the best way to think about the difference between actions and buttons is that a button is designed to sort of take you somewhere, whereas an action is designed to do something. But it is a bit of a very blurry distinction. So now I'm going to create a new button. Now, in this case, we're not doing a detail page link. We're doing a detail page button. So a link is what appears sort of towards the bottom of your page layout, which is just sort of a text in a hyperlink format. In this case, we want to have an actual button. I'm just going to call it button example, just so it's really clear. Don't need a description, display new window, and then I'm just going to make it Google as the URL for example purposes. But you can make these dynamic and include variables, so you can enter Google and then add the account name as a search term or something fancy like that. But it's quite simple. Or you can just add formulas and other things. So I'm going to save that new button. So I've now created my new button, and now my next job is to go to the page layout that I want that button to appear on for the record. So I've got a new button that's called Button Example. Now we go to Page Layouts. Going to go to the Standard Opportunity Layout. So now here is where we need a now impact where this button is going to appear. So if I click on Buttons in the top menu here, I can see my new button example. Now I want to add it to the mobile and lightning experience. So I like mine to be customizable. I'm going to add it right up here. Oops, sorry. So now you can see we've got our new button example in the list here, and our next step is to add it to the record page layout. So I'm going to go to Page Layouts. Now it's important to note, I'm going to go to the Standard Opportunity Layout. There are two different ways to add the button to the layout, and one helps with Classic, sort of Salesforce Classic, and one is for Lightning. So if you see here under Buttons, you can see I've got Button Example there. That's our new button. And it's also down here under Lightning Actions. We can see Button Example. So in the case of Salesforce Classic, we have to add it using this button. So you can see these buttons down here. This is the sort of Salesforce Classic view. So I'm going to go Button Example, and you can see it doesn't let me add it to the standard buttons. I'm going to drop it here in the custom buttons. So that now covers us off for Salesforce Classic. And then for Lightning, we need to add it here to this area. But you'll see if I try to drag this button to the Lightning area, nothing works. So I want to make this predefined, and then I'm going to go Lightning Actions and get Button Example from there. And I want to add it right to the front of the queue here. So if I now save that change. So just double check the layout has been updated. Should see our new button. So we've got Button Example sitting right at the front of the queue for mobile and Lightning Actions. And we can also see it down here for Salesforce Classic. So if I now go back to my record detail page, if I refresh the cache, ideally I'll be able to see that new button appearing here. So I'll do a hard refresh to make sure the UI updates itself, isn't storing old information. And now we've got button example. So if I hover over that, that is getting ready to take me to the URL that I placed in the formula field. Then if I look in Salesforce Classic, it took me a while to find this because I'm so unfamiliar with Salesforce Classic. I've found the opportunities. I'm looking at an opportunity record and I can see my new button there. So the standard buttons appear and then my new button appears at the end. So that's how you add a new detail page button. So you create the button in object setup and then add it to the two different areas on the page layout to make it appear in both Classic and then in Lightning. Hope that helps.